Hello, everyone, and welcome to Four Lads live midweek podcast. Kenny and I do like to get together on a Wednesday afternoon and have a wee chat about all things Rangers. There is plenty to discuss, a few things to announce for the podcast members, a new strip to look at. Have we got a new manager? We'll discuss that as well. But delighted to be joined by Kenny. How are you, mate? You well?
I am, mate. Hope you're well. I know you've had a busy day yourself, so plenty to discuss.
Yeah, there is. So, it's been a busy day. I was over at Ibrox Stadium collecting our new strip. We'll talk about that in a minute. I recorded a podcast this morning with a former player, which we'll go into in a wee while as well. I promised that we would do some interviews with some former players, and this one will split the opinion, that's for sure. But it is a cracker. We'll talk about that just in a wee minute. I'm just eager to. I don't want to go in and start talking about the strip or manager stuff just yet. We've only just went live, so I'm wanting people to get a chance to come in and log in and join us. So good afternoon, everyone. It is a lovely day. Match day, Kenny. Dundee United tonight. What are you expecting?
End of season fair, Stevie. It's the last game this season at home. Obviously, a lot of players will probably know that this is the last game at Ibrox as well. So, it's a nice night. It's a nice day, so it'll be a nice night for it. But how it goes, who knows, mate? Because if it's anything like the first half on Sunday, it'll not be pleasant. But if it's like the second half, it'll be a nice wee evening. I don't really know what to say about it. It's one of those kind of things that we just can't see the back of this season quick enough, can we? Let's be honest. It's all guns are blazing from next week, hopefully, and plenty to discuss from there on in. But as I say, I just can't wait to see the end of this season at all.
You're right about it being a nice day, that's for sure. I've got the old shorts and t-shirt on now. I'm back to the house. I'll be taking the dog for a wee wander around Cowan Park in Barhead, and just after we finish this, it's a beautiful day, so I think I'll need the old Factor 50 for the old cue ball. That's for sure, Kenny. Tonight, I don't think there'll be many changes, mate. I've got to be honest with you. I think Bayrami might come out the team because I thought he was poor at the weekend. And I'm not sure who comes in for him because he wasn't exactly positive about Oscar Cortez, who would be the obvious choice. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's one that we just want ticked out the way. I want Barry to finish strong. I know everybody's got a lot of opinions about Barry, but for me, he came in at a really difficult time. I think he's done fine. He's not been perfect. I understand that, there's that Hibs and Motherwell game at home, but if you consider he's played Celtic twice, winning at Parkhead, he played Fenerbahce, managed to get past them. Balbale was or Athletic Club rather, was a step too far. And so he's had a bit of a mixed bag in what I think's been a really poor squad he's dealing with. So I'm very much of the opinion. I hope that they end it on a positive for Barry, at least, Kenny.
Absolutely. Listen, you can't fault him. Whether he gets a job or not doesn't look like it clearly, but you can't fault the man for turning up and taking the call to arms, so to speak. And he's done the job to the best of his ability, and I'm with you on that. I hope he finishes tonight on a high note at Ibrox. It would be much deserved. And as I say, I would agree with you by Rami. I don't see Bayrami playing, but who comes in for him? Probably Tom Lawrence. I think that's probably who'd start for him, mate. But I don't see much difference in change to the lineup tonight. I beg your pardon, because he's kind of done this since he turned up, isn't he? He's pretty much stuck to the same 15, 16 players. So I don't see him changing that much at all tonight. And as I say, I hope he gets a fantastic result tonight and a nice send-off. How the players do their lap of honour at the end of the night will be a curious one because, yeah, I don't like seeing it. If you know what I mean, I'm always a wee bit uncomfortable when you've won nothing and we've got to go around doing that. It's a bit of a, it's the old walk of shame to a certain degree, isn't it, at times? And I'm always a wee bit uncomfortable with that, mate. So, but I hope it works for Barry tonight. I hope we get a good result and he gets the send off that he deserves and his backroom staff, because they have turned up and done the job under incredibly difficult circumstances, and you've got to look at it like that and say, look, thanks for everything and get on with it, you know, from here.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get the last half an hour that we had on Sunday from the off tonight and just have a nice performance. It is a nice night. We don't like Dundee United, so it would be nice if we could get a few goals, that's for sure. Right, okay, let's move on for tonight. You will see, ladies and gentlemen, as you're aware, along the bottom of the screen, you will see our members who help, who help our YouTube channel and pay as little as 99p a month. What we promise to do is bring you some original content, which we're doing, I hope, and also bring you some big player interviews. In the last couple of weeks, we recorded with Bob Malcolm and Stephen Smith about Helicopter Sunday, and that's part of the documentary we're making on Helicopter Sunday. And the interviews we're going to release in full for podcast members. Today, I recorded a podcast with Stephen Naismith. It is the first time that Stephen has spoken about his Rangers career. He gave us an hour and a half of his time, and we spoke candidly about absolutely everything, from him joining to him leaving. There was no questions left unturned. From the press conference, his exit, to trophies, to wins, to Old Firm goals, Walter, Jimmy, Ali, El Hadj Diouf, Kyle Lafferty falling off the bus. All of it was discussed. And it is, in my opinion, an absolute fantastic listen. 90 minutes worth of really good stuff. And the reason I did it is because I know that for many it's going to divide opinion, but I could go and get somebody that we've all heard from before, and we could go and get a podcast and do it, and it would be brilliant. But we've all heard the stories before. I want to do original stuff. I want to do big interviews, and I feel like Stephen Naismith is that. I know it's going to split opinion, but I'm quite comfortable in the fact that he has a story to tell. It's a really interesting one. What he says about his exit and that is worth a listen. Kenny, this was the whole point of it. When people decided to help us on the show and ask for interviews and stuff like that, I said to you guys, there's absolutely no point in getting guys that have done, all the interviews before. Let's try and get some original stuff that people like. That Stephen Naismith interview that I done this morning is getting uploaded as we speak. Will be available for members this afternoon. So it's going to split opinion, but it was a really brilliant listen.
And fair play to you for doing it, mate, because it is controversial. We know that. It is going to split opinion. We know that as well. But it is one of those things, mate, that you actually look at the whole thing with Naismith, and we know how a lot of fans feel about it. But this is a massive scoop for you. And I'm not going to sit here and fluff your duff here, mate, but it is a fantastic exclusive, because he's never discussed this before. He's never discussed his Rangers career before since he left. And he left in such controversial circumstances. And as I said to you at the time, I actually felt that the press conference that he had when he left, I thought was very scripted, very predetermined, and I have not seen your interview with him yet, so I'll get you to pass that on to me as soon as we finish, mate. But what I would say is that I think he was very badly advised at the time. I don't know what he says about it. But listen, to me, this is exactly what we want to be doing at Four Lads, isn't it? Is getting these kind of, as I say, you can call it an exclusive, but it's to get that insight into something that is so kind of almost inflammatory at times when you consider the way a lot of Rangers fans do feel about him, that he'll never be forgiven or whatever. But there's two sides to every single story, and we're about to get his side of the story. And I'm intrigued by it. When you told me about it, and I've been sitting here for about, I don't know, about a month, 6 weeks, whatever it is, sitting there, bite my tongue, want to tell everybody, and sworn to secrecy. And I can't wait for it, actually, genuinely, as a Rangers fan, just as a normal Rangers fan here. I can't wait to watch this, because it's a story that needs told, and it's never been told in the 13 years. It's never really been mentioned, hasn't it? It's just an intriguing one, mate. And I genuinely, as I say, I can't wait for it. And when you phoned me after coming out, you were buzzing. So I'm really intrigued by it now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, listen, as I said, I appreciate that some people won't want to hear it, but the whole point in Four Lads is that we try and do new things. This is the first time that Stephen's ever spoke about it. I don't sit and fluff the way he left. I tell it quite clearly that I think that, the way he left was difficult, but there's a lot of good times in there. Like, you talk about League Cup final, 9 men. You talk about how, like, Walter engineered that. He talks about some funny stories about Walter, great stories about Jimmy, funny stories about Elhaj Diouf. So there's a lot in there. We talk about his teammates, Kyle Lafferty, Daniel Cousin, Jean-Claude Darcheville. So I think that we cover a lot in terms of, and it goes through, for those that watched the Scott Arfield podcast, which I done a couple of years back, it's the same kind of platform where we talk about his seasons in general. So yeah, Stephen Naismith will be available for all members to watch this afternoon. If you want to join, the membership from YouTube is as little as 99p a month. If you're willing to wait, it will be out for general release in the next couple of weeks, depending on what happens announcement-wise, etc. So that is there. Thank you to all our members. I think there's around 130 odd. We're very fast growing, which we really appreciate. And they will get that access to that, as well as other interviews that are coming up as well. Interestingly, Kenny, Stephen Naismith is not the most controversial one we have coming up in terms of ex-players. So there's plenty of content coming up, Kenny, isn't there?
There is indeed. And, the thing about the Stephen Naismith one that I think a lot of folk forget, mate, is that he was a fine player for us. And he had his injuries and stuff like that. And as I say, I still feel that at the time when he left and that press conference and stuff like that, it was a strange one to watch. And as I say, badly advised for me. But at the same time, the content that we've got coming up is, it's we're really looking forward to it, aren't we? And it's nice to stick it out for the members first. And you're getting that content that that they've been asking for, isn't it? I mean, that's the entire point of Four Lads, is to get these. And what I will say, mate, is that see when you actually consider this this particular exclusive, there won't be anybody that's a Scottish football fan, really, that not just Rangers fans. There will be a huge element all over the country that will want to watch that and hear what he has to say. And that's why I'm so excited about it. The media in this country will want to hear it. Fans of other clubs will probably want to hear it. I expect it to be enormous because it has that controversy about it. And as I say, going to pass it over to me as soon as we finish, because I'll be watching that tonight.
Yep, and so will John, who's just become a YouTube member. So he has access to it. There are a couple of comments. Info will likely end up in the press. We will it's exclusive for members only, so it will not be available to anybody press-wise watching. So, yeah, Stephen Naismith interview is available, and you can watch that. Thank you to Bay106G Tim Ark as well. I don't know how to pronounce that quite. We'll just call you Bay. Bay, thank you, buddy, for joining our YouTube channel as well. Stephen A. Smith interview will be available later on this afternoon. It is quite lengthy, so it is downloading as we speak. Let's move on from that. Kenny, new top launch day. And listen, I'm very easy, right? It's blue, it's Rangers, and I'm absolutely bought. I have one in my hand right at this moment. I'm going to show you all in a minute. Let's just tell you a wee bit about it from Umbro. Umbro say it's set in sleeve construction, classic polo collar with insert, dropped hem with insert panel, Umbro logo to right hand chest, club crest to left hand chest, authentic tab. The shorts are angled side panel, elasticated waistband, twin needle stitch at hem, Umbro logo left to right thigh, club crest to right thigh as well. Socks, cushioned heel and footbed, Umbro branding to shin, club branding to calf. So that's your mumbo jumbo in terms of what Umbro say about it. Let's show you. So we have it here. Hopefully everybody can see. Just this is proper blue. I think that's the first thing to say. I don't know if the light in my wee dungeon kind of does it good enough, but it is properly blue. Your Umbro is stitched, embroidered on, so that's really important. It's not coming off, as is your club badge as well. The hem of the collar is really soft, and it kind of sits perfectly. I like this. It's got a wee on the back of it. I don't know if everybody can see that. Just about, but you got a wee ready lying there, which I think is a really nice touch. And there's no pattern through this, which I think is the most important thing, because I didn't like last year, Kenny, when there was a kind of pattern through the blue. But this is a blue. I absolutely love this kit. I think it's fantastic. It feels good. It's not as heavy as you remember. Remember the old style Umbro kind of the one where we won the league in, and I really liked that. They had the black, but they were slightly heavier. This isn't like that. It's quite a nice feel to it. And obviously you've got the sponsors as well, Seco, and the one down the bottom as well. And it's got a nice wee kind of red bit as well at the side at the bottom as well, Kenny. So all in all, I think this is a 10. I really do. I think it's an absolute beautiful strip. I love the blue. In person, as I said, I think the blue is spot on. They've really, really nailed the proper colour. I love the fact that it's just authentically blue and there's no pattern through it, which, again, it's only personal choice, but I really, really like it. Have you seen it yet, Kenny? What's your thoughts on it?
My thoughts initially is that you should be on QVC, mate. That was a pitch and a half. You sold that very well. I haven't seen it yet. No, only pictures of it. But what I have seen of it, and that's probably the closest I've been to it, it does look good. And I do like the fact that there's no pattern through it. It's very retro. It's quite. I can't even remember what top it was, mate, but it reminds me of one of the ones that we wore a few years back, and I really do quite like the old retro style. I'd hope that with Umbro now being part of this, that we get a host of the old Umbro kits, to the old retro kits to in the club shop, because that would be manna from heaven for me. I love the old retro stuff. But what I would say, mate, is that in terms of a new kit, I always feel the home top is probably the easiest one to do, because it's blue. It's the collar that's going to be different. It's the slight pattern designs that are going to be different. But the Rangers blue, the royal blue, is exactly what you want to see. And it looks nice. My only gripe about new kits, mate, is that I'm 55 and I don't really wear them. I've stopped playing football many years ago, and I'd be wearing it at 5s or 6s, whatever we used to play. But on the kit at the top itself, it looks lovely. I've got to say, as soon as I seen it, I thought that's really nice. And going by what you've just shown me there, the kind of colour, it looks really proper, because it's one of the bugbears that I've had over the years, is that there's slight changes in the colour, and I don't like that. I'd much rather just stick to the Rangers blue that we know and we know so well.
Yeah, people are asking about the quality and what it's like. I genuinely really like it. It's a really nice feel to it. It's like an Umbro top. Like, I can't describe it any way differently. This is a pro version, so it's a really nice feel to it. I like, as I said, the bits and pieces around it. It's going to be, honestly, it'll be better in person when you see it, because I think the blue is nailed on. Like, I think the blue's perfect, Kenny. Sometimes we don't get it right. As I said, I love the fact that there's no pattern on it. The crest and the Umbro badge being embroidered is also great as well. People asking what the fit is like. I am an XL because I'm a wee bit chubby. Things have been difficult, and I've been eating sweeties a lot, and XL fits me perfectly still. So, and I've got to work on getting the old moves down as well, Kenny. But it's a good fit. It's not tight. And yeah, how many tugs on Dessers will make it rip, Stevie? I think it feels quite durable. That's for sure. So listen, I really like it. It's a 10 for me. As I said, honestly, to rabbit on about it, it's the blue that makes it for me. They've got it spot on. I love the fact that there's no pattern through it, and I really like it. There will be 4 kits this season, Kenny. Can't tell people that. The away kit will go on sale next month. We'll have a 3rd and a 4th kit, and you're gonna like them. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah,
you've just told me what they are, and quite intrigued. The only thing I would say very quickly, mate, is that I've seen a lot of people online complaining about the price of it, and I think if you look at across the board these days, I know the pro kit's slightly more expensive, but 80 quid's kind of par for the course, and I know people are complaining, but listen, it is what it is. It's football fans get fleeced by their clubs at this time of year. They do, and there's just no other way of explaining it or describing that. It is what happens, and I know a lot of folk, if you've got kids and stuff like that, you're forking out at this time of year where you've just forked out for your ticket, your season tickets, and it's just a tough time of year. This time of year, isn't it, for families that go to the games? And for me, it's just to be expected, and I just wanted to point that out, that I understand that there is an awful lot of folk complaining about it, and if you've got 2 or 3 kids that you have to buy for as well, that money's racking up, and it's difficult for people, particularly at times like this when the finances for everybody's feeling the pinch a little bit, and it's just one of those things that it's unfortunate, but Rangers are no different from any other football club. This is what happens at this time of year. And it's been up a fiver, I think, hasn't it? From last year, it was 75 for the kit last year. It's 80. It's just basically inflation, mate. And that's kind of all it is. But yeah, I think it looks a cracker, I must admit. And I'm intrigued now. I've seen one of the other ones. I'm looking forward to the other 2 because they're interesting.
Yeah, you'll love the other 2, that's for sure. I'll put some pictures up on social media when we can get a kind of better lighting, because I'm not sure it does look in here the way it's supposed to. I'm not sure if you can kind of but it is a really smart top, that's for sure. Kenny, let's move on. We have a small matter of needing a new manager. I was really intrigued. There's certain things that have happened which has put my antennas up this week. David Ancelotti was mentioned several weeks ago and has then flew under the radar, and then all of a sudden Italian press and Spanish press have got him not as being linked but as the next Rangers manager. Here's where it becomes really interesting for me, and I'll put a couple of things to you. Barry said yesterday we should hear in the next couple of days, possibly the start of next week. Joshua Barry, Chris Jack, Rangers Review, said 4 weeks for the new manager. In Spain, they reported 4 weeks, and he'll be here after he goes with his dad and plays the friendlies with the Brazilians, which I can only assume that he's tapping up a few of them to come with him. I think that things are starting to align where there is more than a credible amount of evidence to say that David Ancelotti Jr. is coming to Ibrox, or at least that it's going to that he's at least on the top of the reckoning with regards to discussions and things like that. There's too much being said now where I'm adding 2 and 2, I'm making 5 and 6 and everything else. I get all that, but there's too many coincidences, I feel, that we might just have out of the blue stumble. And I also think that, see the quality of people that are reporting it in Spain and stuff like that, when Marca starts talking about it and things, and they start talking about assistant people that are going with them and all that kind of stuff, I think that we might have just stumbled upon the guy that's going to be the next Rangers manager.
Who knows? But to me, there's always no smoke without fire. And when you understand going by the information that you can collect, that the media or the sports media in Madrid very rarely get things Real Madrid wrong. So there is certainly something in it. I think Rangers' official line is that, yeah, he's, one of many on a list, basically. But for me personally, what you mentioned there about assistants coming and stuff like that, that sounds to me as if there's been lengthy discussions, not just one or two. It's been a long, thought out process. The boy Thelwell being at Everton when the Ancelottis were at Everton, I think that's partly where this might have come from. And I'm going to be 100% honest here, Stevie. See, until about 3 days ago, I'd never even heard of him, didn't know he existed. Didn't know Carlo Ancelotti had his son as his assistant, had no clue. And it shows my ignorance of the game, actually, because the last couple of days I've been managing to collect as much information as I can about him. And this guy is very highly quoted across the continent. He's not, we said in a group chat, and I actually said, I think it was Davey, that I don't believe that Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or Napoli or Everton do nepotism for the sake of it. He has to be very highly regarded to get jobs at these football clubs. And I know he's at PSG with his dad as well. So he has a fair and very impressive CV in terms of the sheer scale and size of the clubs that he's worked at, isn't he? I mean, and he knows his stuff. And by all accounts, he is. I mean, I know somebody called him the secret weapon, and that his dad had. And I don't know how you kind of go about explaining that, but when you look at clubs like Bayer Leverkusen and Como and the top clubs, I think Reims in France, all kind of genuinely after this guy. He is very, very sought after. And for me, it's one of these kind of really intriguing things, because it looks like we are going down a very, very modern approach. The guy's only 35 years of age. So that kind of points to the first team head coach type guy, where Thelwell will be the sporting director, and it's what we mentioned the other week, mate, that really is beginning to intrigue me. I had put up on X or Twitter yesterday that all I want to see, I'm a big believer in this, that we as a football club, we as a collective, as a fan base, we have one point of reference in terms of when we're really very, very successful now, and it's the 90s. And I believe that we're kind of stuck there to a certain degree. It's what we keep falling back on. And the mindset has to change. The modern approach has to be embraced. And for me, this is a very modern approach that we're about to take, because if we're looking at guys like him or the Danny Roll guy who's 36, he's only a year older, Rob Edwards is, I think, still in his 30s. These guys are young men, and it's a very intriguing situation to find yourself in, because up until about a week ago, as I've said to you before, I was convinced that, for no other reason than I just had it in my head, that I thought it was going to be Steven Gerrard coming back, and it certainly doesn't look that way. And I'm actually quite excited, and I've heard people say that you can't go down that path, but new owners with new modern techniques are probably going to go down this route. That's what they're going to do, Stevie, and we have to embrace that. And as I say, modern times, modern thinking, slightly different from anything we've been used to, really. Where this guy will be, if it is to be Ancelotti, that's what I mean. This guy is going to be that guy that is solely responsible for nothing else than the first team. And if you look at what Philip Clement was having to do and Michael Beale before, they were having to do the entire football department almost on their own, with the help, with help from Niels Coppin. And this is just a madness that has surrounded our football club. So I am really excited, whether it's Ancelotti or not, that this is the kind of path that we're going to go down. And it's not going to be a figurehead, where you and I have discussed this, and we feel that that's perhaps what we need, is the figurehead manager. Our new owners clearly don't see that as the case. So I don't know what you think, but that's kind of my take on it. That, I mean, you get the guy saying the Cathro vibes, and I get that as well. I do understand that, but with all respect to Cathro, this is a level above that, isn't it? I mean, there's just no getting away from that. This guy's been the assistant at Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Napoli, Everton. This guy knows his stuff, whether we know anything about him or not. It's an ignorance that we have in Scotland, I think, about continental football, that we're going to have to embrace it, mate. That's what I would say.
Well, look, what I would say about it is, right, I completely understand the point of view that he's got no experience, the point of view that it's a gamble and it's not a sure thing. Here's the thing. Can anybody out there tell me who is a sure thing? Even if you go and get Steven Gerrard, we've discussed this for several weeks. Nothing's guaranteed. It took Steven 3 years before, and he's coming into a squad that arguably is as bad as what he came into, and he has to still ship a few of them out and things like that. So there's nothing guaranteed. And people say to me, if they do go and bring in Ancelotti Jr., it's either going to be sugar or shite. It's either going to be sugar or shite anyway. It doesn't matter who you bring in. It doesn't matter what manager it is. We have to win. So if we win, it's going to be great and it's going to be good. If we don't, it's going to be shite. And I think that's just where we are. We don't do, just floating about and building and things like that. So it's always going to be one or the other. There's no sure thing out there where Rangers fans can all sit and say that there's a manager that every single one wants and gets behind. Everything's going to be a risk. I think the club are moving in a modern kind of way, whereas Thelwell, who's Steinson above him, working to oversee what they're doing, I wouldn't be surprised. If there's more appointments in the football department, I know that there's a couple of boys at Everton for head of recruitment and head of academy. I would not be surprised in the slightest if you see them joining up, because Thelwell will piece it together. What he will do is, and what Rangers will do, is build him an environment, I should imagine, where all the positions are in place. He'll have a new medical team. He'll have Thelwell. He'll have the academy. He'll be brought in, or whoever it is, will be brought in to be the coach, which is different. We're now moving away from manager. I think the manager that was figurehead and that had it, we're moving away from that, whether we like it or want to embrace it or not. I think that's the way that this is telling us we're going to go. So he'll obviously be involved in recruitment and everything else. And I had to laugh, Kenny, because, people talking about Real Madrid players coming out of contract and coming with him. I seen a thing about Alaba the other day. I remember when Paul Le Guen came, we were supposed to be getting Govu and a French international goalie, and we were supposed to be getting Zidane and all this nonsense that came with it as well. So let's just wait and see with regards to that. But I think in general, there seems to be, and something you hinted at, I think there's going to be a change in what our manager position actually is. The foundations will be put around him, which is the infrastructure I've been talking about for a very long time, needs to be right. And I think that you will find that that'll all be there for whoever it is that comes in. I do think Ancelotti has got to be front runner with all the things that I've said. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I'm in the dark as much as anyone. So I'm just waiting to see that. But somebody asked, I think it was Natalie that asked last week, do we think that manager will come in? And it's more or less been confirmed now that they're not going to wait on a takeover. So they are, I think another thing this tells you is as well, with Thelwell picking and Steinson involved and stuff like that, then yeah, there's this is all going forward the way we want it. And what it is, Kenny, and I'll put this back to you, this is another way to look at it for me. We're finally showing ambition and there's excitement. We could have gone down a different route, but this is an exciting and ambitious kind of outlook for me. We might not get Ancelotti Jr. We might not get him. That's absolutely fine. We might go, but say we go and get Roll or whoever it is that comes in. For me, it's exciting because we're going down a different route. We're modernising. There's ambition there. We're going to try and do it a different way. We wanted this. I wanted a takeover. I wanted people to believe in Rangers again, to get enthusiastic, to be able to take us back to the top. So let's see where this goes.
Yeah, and listen, you could bring a Mourinho or a Rafa Benitez in, these guys are really experienced. There's no guarantees with any manager. Every single manager's a risk. And you look at Philippe Clement, he had won 3 league titles in Belgium, turned up here, he was a little bit of a fish out of water and domestically, and ended up playing a style of football that none of us wanted to watch. So, trying to get results domestically. And the thing that I would kind of take from this is that the 49ers, Andrew Kavanagh, you have to look at the way that they work. And it's all data driven, it's all analytics, it is a very, very modern approach. And I've just said this to you, and I'll reiterate this. I genuinely think that our only point of reference is, a long, long time ago in terms of how to be successful. And it's something that we naturally want to fall back on. And we are going to have to accept this, kicking and screaming as it may be, that we're going to have to understand that the modern approach is exactly the way they're going to go. And if you're being open-minded about it, that's what I would say. If you're going to be totally open-minded about it, you would have to turn around and say that if you're going for the Real Madrid assistant manager, that's ambition on a level that perhaps we haven't seen for quite a while. And people might disagree with that and say, it's only an assistant. He's at Real Madrid. Look at where this guy has learned his craft. And if he feels, and half the continent feel that he's ready to take that step up and move away from his dad's shadow, if you like, then who are we to turn around and say that he's not for us? He might be for us. He might not be. He could turn up and it could be an unmitigated disaster. exactly what we're saying. But so could a Mourinho or a Steven Gerrard. And the thing about Gerrard that I've always said is that I've got no real aversion to him coming back. But what he isn't going to get, Stevie, is the 3 years patience that he had the last time. He just wouldn't get it, because regardless to the rebuild that we have on, he figured out how to get results in the last year or so that he was here domestically, and that should still be there. This is my point about this modern approach. There's a continuity about what they are intending to do. So farewell to Ancelotti if he does get the job. And the situation where if a manager comes and goes, and a first team coach comes and goes, there'll be a continuity about the way we play, the way the infrastructure, and all these kind of situations that make a football club successful. And we have to embrace it, whether we like it or not. And it'll be tougher for some folk like me. I'm an old guy that's stuck in my ways, and I'm used to a Walter Smith or a Jock Wallace, or even a big Alec McLeish or a Steven Gerrard being the figurehead, a Graham Souness, figurehead managers. And I just think that we have to be dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century, mate. That's kind of my take on it. And this kind of ambition excites me. That's what I would say. It genuinely quite excites me that we're going to that level where you're talking to guys like this. I find that quite impressive. I don't know what you feel, but for me it is.
Well, it just goes back to what I was saying about ambition and showing a wee bit of enthusiasm in terms of who's coming in, what's your drive. We're going to find out a lot. Recruitment's got to be absolutely key. We'll talk about that just in a minute. Thank you to Glenn Henry, who's become a new YouTube member, and current member Scott D. Is there a delay to subscription being active? No. It should go active. If you're looking for Stephen Naismith interview will be up more or less as soon as we go off air. It's uploading right now. So that'll be available for members latest 3 o'clock, I should imagine. I just need to tidy up a couple of things before it goes out. So members will be able to watch that from 3 o'clock. So no, Scott, the answer to that is there should not be a delay. I've also cleaned up the chat. I am aware that there's a few infiltrators obviously not working, obviously. A couple of things that have came in about recruitment, Kenny. It's going to come down to recruitment. Of course it is. That's where Thelwell comes in. Steinson's been watching the last dozen games minimum. As early as Old Trafford, he was here as part of looking at Rangers for the future. Should be under no illusions of what is needed. I also think Barry will be able to give a good analysis of where he thinks the squad is short and what we need. So we need to have players that have got a different setup than what we have now. We need physicality. We need players that are able to have that drive. I would pace. Give me somebody that's fast. Jeez, somebody that's fast and can run. But do you know what? The recruitment is always going to be key, not only in but out. The actual side of it from the recruitment department of players that need to leave. I know that a new manager might be able to bring out, or a new head coach might be able to bring out something in certain players. I kind of think that is there a possibility that like Bayrami and Hadji and things could become better players with a more European style manager, etc. Yeah, but does that really work in Scotland? So that mix has to be right as well. So yeah, it's interesting, Kenny, but recruitment, whatever way they do it, if we say we bring in, if Barry's numbers are right, 12 in, 12 out sort of thing, of those 12 coming in, you need 10 hits and you need it to be good.
Yeah, a clearing of the decks needs to happen, Stevie. I don't think there's any kind of debate on that. We all know that. But you're right. I mean, I think the way they're going to go is, yet again, it's all going to be kind of data-driven. But what we need, first of all, is what you mentioned as well. We need players with pace, right? We don't have any. But what we also need, Stevie, is the personality, the character, and all the characteristics that you need to be a Rangers player, which is clear as day we don't have. And that will be, it's all right being a good player. Kind of Barry's, hinted at this as well. Players are good players, but they don't really they're not really Rangers players because maybe the mentality's wrong, the characteristics, they're maybe slightly weak-minded, some of them. This is the kind of situation that needs addressed, and they have a tough job on this summer to get that all right. But I would tend to agree that if you're looking at 12 in, 12 out, which I think is realistic, you're right. 9 or 10 of them have to be vast improvements in what we have at this minute in time. Our job as a football club, I think, is to find players with the correct mentality. I don't think the players that we have they've proven that they don't have the mentality. That you need to win every single week to be able to turn around and mount a challenge. We've watched this for far too long, Stevie, that whenever we get ourselves into a position where we can challenge, we, for want of a better way of putting it, we shit the bed. We actually bottle it. And we've watched it for years now. Steven Gerrard's first year in charge, I think he just didn't have a squad. The second year, I think the squad bottled it a little bit, and he managed to build the squad over a period. But we've watched this over and over again over the last few years that they just don't have the correct characteristics. And that's where I feel it's going to be vitally important for Thelwell and Coppin to get this absolutely nailed on this season, because I've already alluded to this, and I think it was last week's show, mate, that if we start badly, the patience has been there's very little patience left amongst the Rangers supporters. Let's be frank about it. But what we need to understand is that we need to kind of hit the ground running a little bit next season. There will be allowances made, obviously, for a brand new squad, but we need to hit the ground running, Stevie. We do, and that does come down to recruitment and getting that nailed on. And that's where I have no doubt, actually, when you look at the 49ers and the database that they have and the way they use it, it works in all manner of different sports, individual sports as well. They have this database that apparently is up there with the very, very best in the world. So it'll be interesting to see the kind of route we're going to go down, because I would suggest if we're going to go down the route of a very young manager, expect very young players to come in as well. And that'll be interesting, but probably of a better level. And going by the Spanish article that I read yesterday, Alaba and Mendy were the two that they were talking about, and you're like, oh, behave yourself. So about 250 grand a week, mate, that we don't have that kind of money. And I just hope that we don't get too carried away with stuff like this. But I just feel that we are in a situation, mate, that we have got to get this nailed on and bang on in the summer. Exactly as you said, if you're bringing 12 in, 9 or 10 have got to be first team players and improve the standard that we've shown this season.
Yeah, undoubtedly. 50 minutes we've been on, Kenny, 2,500 people watching. If you are watching and you would like to help the channel, you can buy a membership from as little as 99p a month. That'll give you access to members only. At 3 o'clock today, Stephen Naismith exclusive interview with him on his Rangers career will be live. It is quite a watch, an hour and a half long, in case you missed us talking about that earlier on. What we will do is get you podcasts that you haven't heard before, get you things that are never been heard, and that's what we want to try and do. That's what I want to try and do. I want to get podcasts that we haven't done and will be a little bit controversial and will be ones that we want to listen to. I tried to get Lee Wallace. He's one that I would really like to get, and I've not been successful for that. So I'm going to keep trying, and there's a few names out there that I'd really like to get. A lot of them it's difficult because they're maybe involved with certain companies and things that do tours and things, but we'll keep trying. I think that Stephen's a good place to start. So if you want to do that, you can. It's a great help. But if not, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That really helps us grow. We have had a remarkable growth in a year. I think we've 6,700 subs now. If that keeps going, the more subs we get, the more we can do, and the more things that we can try and get. So yeah, I'm really thankful for everybody for tuning in. One question from one of our members: what's your thoughts on Coppin? Is he now on the clock, especially with Thelwell in place? Quite honestly, yes. And Matt, this is only opinion. If they're talking about bringing in the Everton guy as head of recruitment as well, I think, with him there, with Thelwell and Steinson, I think that Coppin's position is almost getting marginalised. That's only my opinion. I think that Coppin has done a good job in limited circumstances. I think Eagleman is going to be a superstar and will get superstar money. And I think that's a terrific spot from him. I still believe in Jeffy, and I know that there is questions regarding defending, but he's a young guy, first big season. I think they can go on and be assets for Rangers. The other flip side is, unfortunately for us, Cortez is like a weight round his neck, unfortunately. Bayrami hasn't progressed how we want it, and that's £7.5 million that we can't afford. And these are the mistakes that we have to make sure that we're no longer making. Kenny, your thoughts on Niels Coppin?
I'll just concur with just about everything you've said there. Actually, I just look at, for me, it's just one of those things that you could point to Diamande as a success as well, and people might not agree with that, but I would look at the signing as a success for £4 million. He's a fine player. So he's had hits and misses, and I do agree with you, Stevie. I think that when you watch what's going on around the kind of infrastructure within the club, I think he is going to get marginalised slightly. But it's natural when new owners come in; they want their own people in place. He's the technical director at this minute in time. Don't really know what that alludes to. I don't really know what that is. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I've got more questions than answers about Coppin. I've got to be honest. I've not been overly impressed with the overall signings, and I find it difficult to turn around and overly praise him, if you understand. And it's not a personal thing, it's just in terms of the job that he's done. I'm not 100% convinced. So I would expect him, exactly as you've said, to be maybe marginalised is a bit unfair, but certainly there'll be more important people round about that will deal with the recruitment side of it, I would imagine, Stevie. That's my kind of take on it.
Big thanks to Kelzo Yabas. What a name that is. Thought I'd help out, support an excellent Rangers podcast. Keep up the good work, lads. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it. We've had 8 or 9 people sign up for the membership. You will all get access to Stephen Naismith's Rangers interview. It goes live. It should be about 3. I need to do slight wee edit adjustments and things like that. I think we've covered everything, Kenny. Almost an hour as usual. I'm going to go and take the dog a walk as well. It is a beautiful day out there. Get the old Peely Wally legs out and go for a wee wander. The dog will love it as well. So that's my plans for this afternoon. Then off to Ibrox tonight. Looking forward to it because it's Rangers, and no matter what, it's a night at Ibrox. The match day vlog will be out, folks, as well. If you want to check that out, it'll be live after the game, and hopefully we enjoy it. I know it means nothing. I know what it is, but it's Rangers, and I would rather be there.
It's a nice night for it, as I said, mate. And looking forward to it. And I'm now finishing here and going down to pick my boy up. He'll probably be watching this, saying, "Hurry up, you dick." to me. But it's yeah, looking forward to it tonight, mate. I'll be glad it's over. I'm not going to pretend that I just think it's been one of the worst seasons I can ever remember. Just from the shambles at the start of the season at Hampden to 7 away, 7 home games without a win, to barely picking up a point at times away from home earlier on in the season. The only kind of positive this season really has been the European form. So I'll be glad, to be honest, when it's all over, and it is what it is. Onwards and upwards and into a brave new dawn, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, mate. And that's what that's what I'm hoping for. And signing Alaba and Mendy will be absolutely fantastic, won't it?
Yeah, Bellingham can come and be back up to Raskin as well. Full kit wankering on the walk, Stevie? Absolutely not. I am far too old to even wear a strip this. Do you know what I prefer? As it goes on truth, I prefer like a wee t-shirt, just a wee kind of retro t-shirt, a wee pair of shorts, and I just go for a wee wander. Also, folks giving me stick. I do not have a player name on the back. I am 41 for fuck's sake. So that is not happening. But listen, just a wee shout out as well. I will bring this comment up from Not Another Rangers podcast. Great day then off Tybrook, spot on, Stevie. Go and check out the lads. Listen, I'm all for supporting all Rangers content out there that guys give up their time to do. There is a lot of brilliant Rangers podcasts out there. Go and check out the guys at Not Another Rangers podcast, because it's Rangers content made by the fans for the fans. So thanks to the boys for tuning in. Also, just before we go, put the pod name on the back. Absolutely not. I like to stay a wee bit under the radar. And not have that interest. So I'm not going to get something silly like that. That's for sure. What I was going to say is, before we go, big shout out to Rangers women tonight. John, you're right. Huge game at the Orium in Edinburgh for the Rangers women. It kicks off at 6:10. So I'm going to try and cover that on the site. Excuse me. And we'll watch that before we go up and watch Rangers Dundee United. What this means, Rangers win tonight. It doesn't matter what happens anywhere else. Rangers win tonight. They go into Sunday's home game against Hibs knowing that a victory over Hibs will win them the league. They have a massive goal difference ahead of everybody else. And massive good luck to the team. We sponsor 4 lads. Give Kathy Hill. We sponsor Catherine Hill. She is one of my best mates, and I fortunately managed to get a sponsor of her. But that's just a way that we try and put back money into the club, as well as the advertising which you see around the LEDs. We'll be continuing to do that. That's thanks to our sponsors that help us. So tonight for the women, Kenny, good luck to them. They've managed to get back into it with a brilliant Old Firm victory at the weekend. The Glasgow City and Hibs drawn. Huge one for them tonight. We wish them all the best.
Absolutely brilliant and perfect result. I think if I remember right, Hibs were 2-1 up at half time. And the absolute ideal scenario was a draw in that game, and the girls went out and did their stuff and got the result required. And I watched a little bit of it actually. I had, believe it or not, I am that much of a geek that I had 3 games on at the one time. On Sunday, I had I had watched the Rangers game, but I had watched the because as you know, I wasn't at the game. I had watched the game. I had the El Clasico on. I had the Arsenal game with Liverpool on a tablet, and I had my phone where I was watching the women's game. So I had them all on at the one time. I'm that much of a geek. Saddle is what I am. But really hope that they get the result tonight, because they're at Ibrox in the weekend, aren't they? Is it Sunday? I think it is. And if they get, I would really hope for a nice big crowd on Sunday, to really spur them on, because that Hibs outfit have really surprised everybody all season, haven't they? They really have, and they're there right at the death. So 2 wins and the league title's theirs, and that would be fantastic. Gets them into the Champions League qualifiers, and would be very beneficial, actually, financially for the women's, team as well. That they would be able to invest a few quid, hopefully, and really looking forward to it. I hope they do get the result, mate. Really do.
Yeah, almost forgot to say, along with Stephen Naismith's podcast interview, which will go up at 3:00 for members only, you can win. This is my kind of script. Try and show it properly here. And Stevie's signed that. We'll give that away to one of the members that want that as well. Just simply watch the pod and comment. That's all you need to do. It'll be a members only competition. Yeah, great. Right, I'm off to walk the dog. Everybody have a fantastic Wednesday. Hope Rangers women and Rangers men produce the goods tonight. Kenny, thanks for joining us as normal. Thank you, buddy.
Not at all. Really enjoyed that, mate. That was good. And as I say, way back out now to go and pick my son up. So been a busy wee day, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a word also to our editor, Andrew Anderson is unwell at the moment. Andrew's going to be off for a wee bit of time. So we send him all our best wishes. Stevie and Kenny will somehow try and negotiate this ship for the next wee while. Andrew, hope you're back soon. He will not mind us saying that, that's for sure. Thanks for everybody that joined in, all the comments, all the new memberships. Our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Afro Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, and our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. We really appreciate it. Yeah, members only, Stephen Naismith podcast goes live at 3:00. Hope you all enjoy it. Give us your feedback. Have a great day. Good luck to the teams tonight. Thanks for joining us as normal.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Afro Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.